What's going on? I just released my first ever game developed with the Godot Game Engine. It's just a quick arcadey title. It's playable on your phone, on your internet browser, or through a Windows downloadable. If you want to give it a try, the link is in the description. I'd appreciate any thoughts or feedback. Making the game was a lot of fun, and the following is just a short, messy devlog going over my experience. Thanks.
All right, this is my 13th time recording this video. So I made a game. I want to share the process of making it, the gameplay, and I just want to show what that looks like. I just want to do a little devlog. For now, I want something simple. I want something basic with just the core essential mechanics for a game. You know, you start the game, there's a fail state, you can die, you can get a high score, you can record that high score. So the first genre that came to mind was that of endless runners. Mechanically, they are so basic. You've seen them before. You've seen Subway Surfers under your TikToks, the little dinosaur game that pops up when your Wi-Fi goes out and you try to go to a website on Chrome. I know I played my fair share of Jetpack Joyride instead of doing my web development and web design in high school. Jetpack Joyride was the So the genre of endless runners is perfect for what I'm trying to achieve. The player doesn't even have to control the movement entirely. They're automatically running. All they have to do is move on one axis, avoid obstacles, and survive as long as they can. Just that arcadey gameplay. You know, video games aren't just a childish pastime that I refuse to release my death grip on as I move into adulthood. They're also a culmination of many art forms. It takes a lot of different roles to create a video game. You know, you need to be a video game designer, you got to be a developer, a musician, an artist, an animator, and that's a lot of shoes to fill, especially for one person. And when you compare that to my current resume, I'm lacking a little bit, but it's not too intimidating. I've been underqualified before, and that never stopped me from faking a college degree. Oh, I didn't even focus that whole time. Whatever. All right, I'm just gonna show my screen. All right, so what you're seeing here is basically the end product of what I created. This is my game I made, my endless runner. This is Morning Commute. But first, you got to see how it looked when I started. So this is what I started with. So I picked Godot to make my game. And Godot is a newer engine. A game engine is just a tool that facilitates the whole process of making a game. Godot itself, it's renowned for being beginner friendly, great for rapid prototyping, and open source. When I hear easy, fast, and free, I'm thinking, I like my game engines like I like my women. Your main process is working with these nodes, which are basically compartmentalized objects that can be reused and broken apart, parented to each other, and they send out signals. Other nodes receive those signals and trigger functions based off of that. But that's all nerdy nitty gritty. We're not really worried about that. I just want to go through the process of how I worked with Godot, what I created, and how I created it. All right, so you can see we got a real basic setup here. As basic as it gets. We have a high score, basic menu options, player character, some coins. And if I hit start here, you can see our scores going up. We can jump, we can double jump, we can collect coins. And if I hit an obstacle, you die, your score's accounted for, and you can restart. So that's that basic gameplay loop I was looking for. And I'm gonna show what's going on behind the scenes to achieve that. Oh, it's hot in here, dude. What was I doing? There it is. So now I launched the game again. We're way zoomed out, and you can see how busted this looks. So I hit start, I'm running through. We're avoiding snails and spikes and all that, and you can see the level ends up ahead. And as I get to that, boom, we just generated another chunk. And the way that's working is as these chunks move to the left off the screen, there's a notifier that tells the game, this chunk is no longer on the screen. It's no longer going to be used. So we can just unload that. So it just deletes that chunk. And whenever that triggers, it goes off screen, triggers, deletes the chunk, then it generates another chunk ahead of me. And you can see kind of the same things happening with the background. That's a built-in feature of Godot, just a parallax background. There's different types of nodes, and that's doing the same thing. Honestly, this part is the main part I had to Google. Well, that's a lie. I Googled everything. I'm gonna have to cut this down a lot, I'm rambling. Besides that functionality there of generating the next level chunks, Everything else, like the player movement, jumping up and down, this all comes from like really popular tutorials for Godot. People like Heartbeast, GD Quest, and let me show you what those level chunks look like. Basically, I have a list of rooms, pre-made rooms that I've made, and as these rooms go off screen, I'm spawning new ones ahead of the player. But anyways, this is it. This is the game. This is the core gameplay loop. Super basic. And, you know, it doesn't feel half bad to play. You know, it's not the most groundbreaking shit, but it's cool. I'm happy with it. As you can tell, just looking at this is not the prettiest thing you've ever seen. So I did an art pass. So this is my finished product. And you can tell it looks so much better, in my opinion. You know, we got a title screen up here. We got the buttons redone. The main thing that I've realized is I can't pick colors. If you leave me to pick the colors, I'm gonna make everything blue. I'm gonna make everything bright and neon, and it's gonna hurt your eyes because those are the colors I'm drawn to. I don't understand color theory. I don't understand color palettes. None of that makes any sense to me. There's a site recommended in one of the tutorials. What the hell was that site? Low Spec. Somebody said use Low Spec. I'm like fumbling just to pull up a window. Okay, this is the site. So I was recommended this site, and this has super basic color palettes. Sometimes when you just got straight up freedom of choice, you make the wrong choices. And for me, that's every time. If I got unlimited choices for color, I'm gonna pick the wrong colors. So this is actually the color palette I used right here, I believe. You know, I picked this color palette and I threw it into Aseprite. By the way, Aseprite is what I use for all my art. And let me pop that up. So Aseprite is just like a pixel art tool available on Steam and I'm sure other places. I love this tool. The UI looks sick, and like I know that's irrelevant and a very shallow thing to judge your tool on, but you gotta appreciate it. You know, it fits the theme of pixel art. So this is what I used, Aseprite. Anyways, here's like one of my sprite sheets that I was using for the game. I drew everything in this, and I want to go back. Let's take a step back. The reason I went with pixel art, it's so overdone in the indie genre. You know, everybody makes pixel art games, but I think it has an everlasting appeal. In some ways, it's so much easier to work with pixel art, and in some ways, it's so goddamn hard. It's easy to block something out like these stop signs, you know, block out basic shapes, but whenever you're looking at like a resolution of like 16 goddamn squares, and you're like, okay, just draw a cat. When you're limited to just a small, you know, 32 by 32 pixel art, it starts to get difficult to, you know, convey some of these more abstract forms with such a limited resolution. I redrew this cat like 8 times. This isn't even the cat that ended up in the game. This is how the cat ended up looking. I'm only focusing on this damn cat because I tried to draw it like 5 different ways. And one, it's hard to draw a cat in a small resolution with pixel art. 2, it's hard to choose colors for that cat when you're using a limited color palette and you need darker colors and you have a dark background. It always blends in. And 3, when you're making an endless runner, and this is one of the main hurdles I ran into, this drove me nuts. You're putting all these details and these different, assets and sprites. So when you're playing the game, your character's flying through. All these assets that you're drawing are flying right past you. So you're putting in all these details and you can't even notice them. You know, and that's more on me because I had difficulty balancing how fast this thing goes and all that. Anyways, I just went on a huge tangent. Let's take a look at what this finished product looks like. So let me just show you what a run of this game looks like. I'm gonna reset the high score, because, you know, I got that option too. You know, this is polished. I told you, I polished this up. And we're just going to do a fresh run of the game, show you how it looks, how it sounds, get an idea of how it plays. Had a short jump there, died. You can see we got, the game acknowledges when you've hit like a new max distance as well as when you got a new high score. So as you can see with the same zoomed out view that we had last time, it's the same idea here.
We hit start. We're running along. As we're running, you know, it's generating levels ahead of us. It's generating, oh, fuck, god damn it. And keep in mind, this is a little offset because it uses that camera. When those levels go off screen, it generates the next one. So it's going to be a little rough since it has to wait longer for that level chunk to hit off screen. So it's generating these levels right in front of me. So that's why I died, you know. I'm good at my own game. It's just, you know, there we go. So you can see right here, I'm just going to die on purpose. I made this indicator, this flag, to show you when you hit, once you reach your best time. That was something I always loved in like Jetpack Joyride. Just whenever you're playing and you see that, like, basically that finish line tape, you're trying to beat your old high score, and just physically seeing your high score in the game as you pass it is so satisfying. So I wanted something like that, and I'm pretty happy with how this flag came out. I mean, it's nothing crazy. I could have been less lazy and animated it, but I think it came out looking pretty good. And another thing I want to point out is I put in these coins as, you know, collectibles. You know, maybe it was just my stupid gamer brain. It's like game must have collectible, but I wanted them to serve more of a purpose, because one thing you'll see as you're playing is they kind of guide the players. They give you an idea of where you can jump and fall to avoid the obstacle. So it acts as that guide, which is like super nice. It's one, it kind of hints where it's safe to go, and two, it makes, you know, following that guide of coins super satisfying as you're collecting them all. You know, you're getting this, you're hitting that streak of coins, and when you hit the whole arc, it's just satisfying. Like right here, it shows you can go under that stop sign. There's no clear indicator otherwise, but it's just that little hint that you can go under there. And this part right here, you just swoosh right in. Oh, it's so smooth. That's my favorite level chunk I made by far. Every time it pops up, it's just so satisfying to just swoosh right through. So you basically had to make sure that all these level chunks are compatible with each other, to where if they occur consecutively, there's no impossible route. And I think I've avoided that for the most part. Honestly, these hot dog chucking assholes are the main thing that gets me. So each of these scenes are a level chunk that can be generated. This is the best one right here. Man, you hit this chunk, you swoosh right through there, hit all them coins, you dodge all them trees, you feel like a pro. I mean, just great game design, great level design. But with this art pass, the main thing that came out of this, the main takeaway, my prize achievement with making this game is our protagonist. Oh. Look at that angel. Look at that beautiful baby boy right there. I struggled to redo the original character, or the original placeholder. This boy right here is the most handsome devil I've ever created. I don't know what to call him. I'm thinking Tiny Terry. I'm thinking Young Buck, Quick Buck. I don't know. You know, it's so simple. So he's giving off huge boss baby vibes. He's adorable. His animations are so simple and fluid, you know. And let's run through those real quick. We got the idol. And just for the record, when I was showing this game to my fiance, the one piece of advice she gave me, the one change she wanted in the game, she told me, she said, "Oh, in the beginning, you should have him drink a coffee and then let out a sigh." And I said, okay, sure, whatever. And honestly, some of the best advice I've ever got. I mean, look how smooth that animation is. We got to scoot this over so we can see this better. Look at that. He's hitting that Starbies. He's letting out that sigh. He's setting that scene. When he's setting that scene, he's about to head out for work. He's ready to go. I'm so happy with how this guy came out. Tiny Terry, Quick Buck, Young Buck. I don't know what his name is, but I fell in love with this angel the second I created him. He's a handsome devil. He's a boss baby, and he's my greatest creation. So one more detail. I made this particle effect. When he's in motion, he has this little briefcase he's holding, and I made it to where little papers will fly out as he's running. And the thing that sucks, and this is another problem with making endless runners, little details like this, you won't even notice them unless you know they're pointed out. But I just want to point out, I drew that little spinning piece of paper in like 30 seconds, and god damn, doesn't it look good. You could think that's real paper. Look at that. Just
I did it again. I did it again. There's one other thing I want to look at. Here it is. See this hot dog? You saw the hot dog stand chucking the hot dogs? Oh, look at that hot dog spin. Is that 3D? No, it's pixel art. I could have sworn that's a 3D model. Is that real? No. It's a drawing. I can spin a hot dog like nobody else. He does it again, folks. All right. And actually, one more that I want to touch on that hot dog stand. So just to give an example, this is the stop sign. This is a stationary obstacle that the player can run into. If we hide the actual image of it, this is what the player can hit. So that's stationary. The player runs towards it. You just got to avoid it. But when you're doing something like the cat that runs at you or the hot dog stand. So with the hot dog stand, this hot dog jumps out and follows an arc. Here it is. Okay. So this hot dog follows a 2D path, which is another type of node in Godot. It's super simple, super straightforward. It uses this path follow 2D. You can see the offset. This hot dog just follows that path. And dude, trying to get the player running, trying to get this hot dog arc fair to where like it was consistently avoidable and never cheap shotted you, it was very difficult. And I know what you're thinking. I'm an expert at chucking wing, so how was this hard for me? But it's harder than you'd imagine. You got two moving objects, and I think for the most part, I got it fair, but it's still every now and then I get smacked in the face with a hot dog, and I question how fair that was. So that's basically it. You know, I wanted to go through this process. That's the end product. Oh, the music. I forgot to talk about the music. On top of not being much of an artist, I am not a musician at all. I have no rhythm. I can't make music. I use some basic recommended sites to generate the sound effects, the coins, the jumping, and I'm happy with how they came out. But when it came to the music, I wanted to make something original. So this is basically like, it was sold to me as music software for people who don't know how to make music. It's like super simple, super straightforward. So this was the tool I was recommended, 1-Bit Dragon. So this is the track I came up with. Yeah. So it starts out, you know, real basic. Toddler on a Casio keyboard. Ooh. Then you hit the next bars, the next chord. I don't know any of the terms. It's like, this sounds a little odd, but okay, not bad. So then you got that keyboard come in. You got the keyboard come in. It's like, okay, it can't get crazier than that, right? Oh, and then it hits you. It just goes ham. He can do it all, folks. He can do it all. In all seriousness, I can't do music. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out, just because it's so weird and I don't know, it's just so silly that I was pretty content with the end result. Just something that remotely resembles some sort of song. But yeah, that's my game. Kind of just glossed through it, just bounced around. I didn't want to get technical. I just wanted to kind of just present what I made. Honestly, in terms of lessons learned, I thought an endless runner would be a very easy genre to tackle, but it introduced a lot of issues I didn't realize would be issues. One of the main ones being, I feel like at least, a lot of people have their monitors or their TVs set up to 60 hertz. And when you're moving images quickly across those screens, shit gets blurry fast at 60 hertz. So for the longest time, it was so blurry, the game would literally hurt my eyes after playing too long. I felt like I was getting a cockeye. It was so bad and it irritated the shit out of me. I could not figure it out. I was Googling, I was asking on forums, and I got lots of good tips that were helpful. People were saying things like, you know, make sure there's a lot of detail that makes images contrast more so that, you know, you don't get a lot of ghosting. Or they'd say, you know, make sure you're not switching from a bright to a dark color very rapidly because that's going to create heavier ghosting and things like that. And when I picked that new color palette, it helped with that a lot. But yeah, I spent so much time banging my head against the wall on like, why is my game blurry? Why is my game blurry? I thought I was screwing something up. And part of it, I think, was just how I had all my things configured to how fast things move. But when you're making an endless runner, you want it to feel fast. And trying to achieve that sense of speed without things getting blurry at 60 hertz, I wanted to pull my hair out. And I didn't realize that the refresh rate, the frame rate, 60 hertz was the issue until I slapped it on my 120 hertz monitor, and it looked like I always wanted to look. It was butter smooth. It looked so good. It probably looked like shit in this video because this video is going to be 60 frames a second. But you see that at 90 hertz, 120 hertz? Oh, it looks so good. I got it to where it's not nearly as bad as it once was. It's much better. You can see for yourself. If you have a 120 hertz monitor, or if you're playing on a phone, phones nowadays have such high refresh rates, people don't even notice, when you're scrolling and it looks butter smooth. But yeah, it makes such a difference. But yeah, so that was my journey. I made my game, achieved my childhood dream. So, I got welts on my back from patting myself on the back so much. And making this video has been a pain in the ass. Oh, fuck. Anyways, I detract. That's the end of it. Play my game. Tell me what you think. Tell me in the comments what you think. What Tiny Terry's name should be. Let me know. Thanks.